Hey everybody, I'm John Finn, and as you can probably tell, we've got a little bit of a different unboxing and review with the Masters of the Universe 40th Anniversary He Man 4-pack. A little bit of a controversial release from Mattel Creations because this entire set costs $150. And we're going to try and figure out if that's worth the money or not, but we're also going to be looking at the packaging, the figures within. We're going to examine some of the differences between the figures that come with this and the figures that have already been released in Origins, at least in the case of He Man, the OG He Man, and the 2000X He Man. Because there have been a lot of complaints about there being real no variation on those, which, you know, I can understand the problem with that, but we're going to get it open here, we're going to look at the packaging here, then we're going to move into our regular space to take a closer look at each of the individual figures, as well as the comparisons between these figures and the figures that have already been released in the Origins line, to kind of give you an idea of if this is something you want to take the money to really add to your collection, because it is quite the purchase. But as I think we're going to find out, it's quite the product as well. So let's go ahead, let's get this open, let's start examining this packaging, and we'll go from there. Alright, so first things first, we've got the packaging here, and as you can see, it's got the nice 40th Anniversary Masters of the Universe logo here on the cover. You've got kind of it's brown, but it's black and white, of the meteor burst. You've got He-Man here in the center. Looks kind of a mix between his classic look and the Revelation look. You've got a big 40 there. Looks pretty cool. And as we look on the sides, it says He-Man television sensation, which he was, especially back in the 80s. And then on the back, we have a look at each of the four figures and what era that they come from. You've got, of course, the 1983 Masters of the Universe Filmation He-Man. We move on to the 1990 He-Man New Adventures of He-Man, I should say, He-Man right there. And then the Mike Young Productions of Masters of the Universe from 2002, which is often called 2000X. And finally, the 2021 He-Man and the Masters of the Universe by Netflix. Very excited about these two figures in particular, the 2021 and the 1990, because they haven't been released in an Origins buck yet. And I'm really excited to see the Netflix He-Man in a scale other than what's on the cartoon. I love that cartoon, but the art style isn't my favorite. I know a lot of people identify with it, and that's great. I'm not here to say that you're wrong for liking it. It's just not up to my taste, so I'm pretty excited about getting that. But let's go ahead and get this outer box open and take a look at the inner box. And I have already opened this just so it'll be a little bit easier to get everything out. And it is taped with two pieces of tape on each end of the box here, and has the basic just, you know, slip open cover. Open it on the side. You can see here already, looks really cool. And we will just turn this up. Put that aside for now, and let's take a look at this beautiful packaging. This is the back here, and I know this looks just kind of like art that's here, but all of this is textured. You can feel this on the box itself. This isn't like a cheap, just like silk screen print. This has texture. It has depth to it itself, and it feels really cool, and the cardboard feels nice as well. You can see the same thing here on the top. All of this is kind of a sculpted cardboard, and the same on the sides, which I think the sides are more or less identical. No, they're not. They're a little bit different. You can see this one has a little solid thing here. You've got the wire coming around. And on this side, you do have the wire coming around, but it's not as solid. You've got a little bit more of a stuff going on. The bottom, you can see here, it's got the 40th anniversary logo, and it also says "Have the Power" there in this little, I guess it's supposed to be an old LCD screen, so that's neat. But then the front, oh man, the front of this is just glorious. It's set up like an old CRT TV, which is what you would watch anything on from the 80s until really the early 2000s. It would have been on one of these CRTVs. It's got the curved convex screen, so it kind of bows out and kind of distorts the image behind it like it would be on an old TV. And this image behind it is just glorious. You've got the Netflix He-Man and Skeletor. You've got the New Adventures He-Man and Skeletor. You've got a Filmation He-Man and Skeletor, and you've got your 2000X He-Man and Skeletor there and there. You've also got a couple different variations of Battle Cat. You got Battle Cat from the 2021 series, excuse me, and Battle Cat from the 2000X series. It is a kind of holographic print, so behind each of the characters is this kind of holographic sky thing going on, which I really dig. That's super slick. This part, this little kind of beveled edge here is it's a yeah, what do you want to say? It's not a matte finish, it's a reflective finish. It's shiny. It's I can't remember the name for it, but anyway, you can see there's kind of a glint off of it, a little bit of a glare. And the way you get into the main box is you just lift off this top part here. Now that holographic image does come out, and you get this cool almost mini poster that's of all of the He-Man television series except for Revelation here. And I think the reason why Revelation isn't included is because he's so much like the Filmation He-Man that we might get one eventually, but I don't know what they would do differently other than maybe the sword and the armor. Everything else would look pretty close to the same. The head would be probably a little bit different, but I don't know if that's worth the investment in this. All right, so we're going to put this top aside here, and then immediately you're greeted with the outer shells for each of the inner blister packs. You've got, starting at the top, He-Man Through the Ages. Each one of these is labeled that, and you've got the actual time that they were on TV. So September 26, 83 to November 21st, 85. The New Adventures ran from September 1st to December 1st, or December 7th, 1990, a very short-lived series. The Masters of the Universe Mike Young Productions, or the 2000X series, ran from August 16th, 02 to January 10th, 04. Pretty decent run there. And then finally, you've got the He-Man from the Netflix, and that has run from September of 2021 to current. I think the third season just released a few weeks ago as I am filming this. Now, each of these boxes, we'll pull out first just the original Filmation He-Man to give you an idea of how these are set up. Each of the boxes, you get a color image of the figure on the front there. I think it's a CD render of the image, or CG render of the image of the figure itself. You've got kind of a glossy, that's the word, glossy Masters of the Universe logo here. On the side, you've got that side, and then here it kind of looks like a TV guide on the side. And the reason, and TV guide is what we used to have to look at back in the 2000s, or before the 2000s, excuse me, in the old 1900s, we had to look at TV guide to see what was going to be coming on. And TV guide looked almost exactly like this on the inside. But on the back here, you can see these listings, and they're all He-Man related listings. So you've got the mightiest mouse in the universe. That's a riff on Mighty Mouse, which was a cartoon back then. You've got Merman's Undersea Adventures. You've got a nature documentary on ESP. You've got Good Morning Eternia, which is a play on Good Morning America, a morning show we have here in the United States. The Horde Empire, Duncan's Creek, which is a play on Dawson's Creek. Dragon Walker Z. Come on, that's freaking amazing. I love that. Adam and the Battle Cats, just a lot of fun. That's Josie and the Pussycats. But that's a lot of fun. I enjoy that. This is a really cool way to present this figure. Looks like I've already got some little stains on here or something, but that's okay. And it's one of 4 collector's covers here, and now we'll take a look at the packaging of He-Man himself. All right, so here you've got the package for the Filmation He-Man, again, sitting there in his little bubble. The background is very, very reminiscent of the original Masters of the Universe toy line, just like the Origins line. It does still have the modern posing retro play sticker. I don't know if I like that being on here with all of them. Even though they are a part of the Origins lines, it would have been cool to see a little bit more of a true-to-life vintage packaging, but it's still really freaking awesome. 40th anniversary logo here. On the back, some freaking epic images, visuals of He-Man transforming in the old Filmation series. And one of my favorite things about this packaging is that you don't have to rip the bubble or the card to get the figure out, because they all just slip into their case just like that. And so you've got this nice little protective area. They come out. They are set in there with some extra little plastic things to keep them in place. And then the figures are set inside of the inner bubble just like this, and you can see the weapons in the back. Now, I'm not going to take this guy out right now because we're just kind of looking at the packaging at this moment, but we will take a closer look at the figure as we move into the next phase of the review itself. I'm just going to slip this guy right back into his package. We're going to slide this down. All right, so one down. And we're just going to slip him back in his little slip cover here. And we're going to set him aside. Up next, we've got the He-Man from the New Adventures He Man. You can see here on the cover. Really nice, bright colors, cool dynamic shading. I dig that. The back, you've got, again, picture of He-Man. You've got the TV listings here. On this one, some of the TV shows, you got Eternia's Most Wanted, which is like America's Most Wanted. Dragon Walker Z is still on. That's good. We're proud about that. You got Web Store, which is a play on Webster. I love that. That's friggin' amazing. Rock On Out. MOTWU Superstars, which is sports entertainment. I think it's supposed to be WWE type stuff. The Wind Raider Cup. That's just fun stuff. Come on, Triclops Triathlon. How can you not love that? You've got the New Adventures He-Man logo on the side here, and of course the pages like it's a TV guide. And again, just slips right out of the package just like that. You can see the New Adventures He-Man artwork here in the background. I don't think anything has looked more 90s, especially early 90s, than this. This is just so slick. I love it so much. The back, you've got another dynamic pose of He-Man or Adam. I can't remember. I think this is actually Adam, the look that he has here on the back with the new power sword. They've never really explained why that changed, but hey, that is what it is. And you got this cool skull kind of moon here. Now, this series wasn't based on Eternia. It was based on Primus, which was a planet he gets taken to defend against the evil mutants, I think it is. But again, this just slides out really easy. Don't have to tear anything to get into these figures, which I absolutely love. And He-Man just comes right out, and you can see him here in his inner bubble. He's got a nice vac metal shield here, and you can see his vac metal sword there in the back. Again, we're going to take a closer look at this guy once we get to that part of the review and get back into our normal room. So I'm going to set him back in there, get him posed into his packaging here, and we're going to slide the slipcover right back on. Only thing about this package is that every angle of it looks so good. Like, they look amazing in package. The back of the package looks so good. I'm sure they're going to look great out of the package. The boxes they come in look amazing. So you're going to have so many options for how to display these guys that it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. And I almost wish I had multiples of this pack just so I could display them all in all of the different ways and stuff that I would like to. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers, and I am certainly the former. Moving on to the 2000X He-Man, or the Mike Young Productions He-Man. Again, you get the logo down here in the corner. You get a nice shot of the figure on the cover here. This is the cover. It says collector's covers 1 of 4. I think they all say 1 of 4. That's kind of weird. I wonder if there are other covers out there. That'd be pretty cool. But I guess this is just to kind of mimic the TV guide look. And as we look here on the back, again, you get more Saturday morning cartoons that are going to be coming on. Adam and the Battle Cats, Dragon Walker Z still on. That's good to know. MotU Superstars is still on. Eternotourage, which is supposed to be like Entourage. That's fun. Horde Empire, Subternia's Kitchen, Hell's Kitchen. That's quality stuff there. And It's Always Sunny in Castle Grayskull. Come on. I love that. Oh, and that's right at Mature. Ooh, go figure that. And of course, you got a cool image of He-Man down here with his sword. This doesn't look like the sword he's actually packaged with, because I don't see a lot of reflection on there, and these all do have the vac metal weapons. And of course, the logo here at the bottom. Slides right out of the case, just like the other figures, and you can see him here with the Masters of the Universe, Mike Young Productions backing here. Really cool, kind of a play on the original vintage series, but it's a little bit cleaner, a little bit more early 2000s, late 90s look to it. I still dig it. And on the back, of course, you get that cool triumphant transformation scene by He-Man in front of Castle Grayskull. You can't really go wrong with that. Slides right out. I mean, these things deserve to be framed and hung and displayed on both sides of them. That's so frustrating. And he comes right out of the package as well. And you can see him here in his inner bubble. You can see that he does indeed have the vac metal on his shield as well as on his axe and sword. This guy probably comes with the most accessories, which is good because he is the least changed, I think, from the Origins line itself. There are changes that we're going to take a look at between this and the original Origins release, but they're not very numerous. In fact, I can only spot just at a glance maybe one big change, but we'll take a look at that as we get there. We're going to put him back in his package here, slide the slipcase down back over, and put him back in his outer shell here. And we are going to set him aside and take a look at the last one, which is He Man from the new Netflix series. Again, you get the logo down here at the bottom. You get a nice look at the figure here on the front. MotU guide, He Man Through the Ages. Collector's edition, the cover 1 of 4. Again, the same. Same basic design on the side with the new Netflix logo there, and of course you get all of the stuff here on the back. It has a lot of the same ones: Cringer's Cartoon Corner, Adam and the Battle Cats, Beast Kingdom with Beastman, that's fun. Talking with Tila, oh, she's got a little talk show, how sweet. Better Call Skeletor, excellent edition, excellent edition. I dig that so much. Slime Pits and Recreation. Come on, Parks and Recreation reference. This is quality stuff. If you don't like this, you don't like me. And I don't like you. I'm just kidding. I probably like you. I'm just, riffing. All right, we slide him out of his overcase here, and you get a really cool image of He-Man transforming again in front of Castle Grayskull with his big old sword of power. I wonder if he's compensating. And you get this He-Man in an art style that we haven't seen him in before, and I love this. I wish this was the way the Masterverse figure looked for this guy. I was really bummed when they came out with just the same scale as the original figures. I've really figured like Masterverse was to bring all of the characters into the kind of same basic dimensions and scalability and stuff, but they went a different direction, which is fine. A lot of people love that, and I'm all for, I'm all for it if people like it, but I would really love to see a Masterverse version of him in this scale here. We slide out the cover here. We're just going to set that aside, and we take him out of the inner bubble. And I found out what these little things are for. It's to kind of keep the figure from rocking back and forth. They go up in the corner. But we can see him here in his packaging. He is held in. Oh, he's held in by a rubber band. Pretty cool. I mean, he's got some great detail on him. He's got some cool little arm tattoo stuff going on. He's got some great cuffs. We're going to take a closer look at him, though. But you can see him in the package, and you can see here he has that vac metal weapon, which is amazing. And there's a little knob here on the sword, so you can still stick it on his back, and I think there's a hole on his back. That's funny that the sword was too thick to actually give him a little scabbard for it, so it just sticks in his back. But yeah, so that's the He-Man from Netflix packaging. Up next, what we're going to do, we're going to get all these guys into the regular review space, and we're going to take a look at them one by one to figure out the differences. Well, one, what they look like in terms of figures, because this one doesn't have a comparison point for Origins, but we are going to compare the ones that we can compare to their Origins counterparts, and then take a closer look at all of the figures themselves so you can make a better decision as to whether or not this is for you. So we'll be back just after these messages. And here we are with all 4 He-Mans set up. He-Mans. I don't know, what's the plural of He-Man? Would it be He-Men or He-Mans? I think we've asked this question before. Anyway, we have all 4 from all 4 different eras set up here in our little review space. We've got your Filmation, New Adventures, 2000X/Mike Young, and the Netflix series. All look really super cool out of package. Bright colors, amazing weapon accessories, and the same basic posability that we get out of the Origins line. We're going to take a first look at this Filmation He-Man. You can see... God, that weapon, that sword just looks so good. And I don't think we've ever gotten the actual Filmation sword in the main Origins line, so it's nice to have it here. I do hope this guy does get a mainstream retail release. I hope all of them new that haven't yet, because I want everybody to have these that wants to own them. But you can get a good look at him here. He's got the fat scabbard there on the back, just like he did in the cartoon, where he can stow his sword. Looking pretty cool. Really good details. Really matches that old school cartoon quite well. New Adventures He-Man here. You've got him with his little leather strap across his chest. Shiny sword, shiny shield. You got the scabbard there on the back. He does have the ponytail, which you can't really tell while he's in package. So this guy is just late 90s glory, just all wrapped up. I dig him so much. Now, in the original series and figures, the sword itself was like a translucent color. It was more of an energy sword than the original sword, a little bit more technologically based. That was kind of coming in vogue at the time in children's entertainment. Then you have the 2000X He-Man. Now, this is probably the most, I guess, controversial in the box, because it seems like the one with the least amount of changes compared to the original Origins release. We're going to take a closer look at that in just a moment. But he does also come with the most accessories, because he comes with both his battle axe, his power sword, and the shield, all in back metal. Looks super freaking epic, especially the paint job on this sword and axe. I don't know if you can really see it there. You can probably see it better on the axe, but you can see a nice gold tone there on the back. There is some kind of copper tone here on the power sword and through here, and the power logo there is colored in as well, which we never get in the just OG Origins line. Pop him down right there, and finally we get our Netflix He-Man, which is probably the most detailed of the bunch, which is kind of to be expected since it's a newer cartoon with newer technology and things like that. Got some really great detail on him, though. He's got the new He-Man logo on his chest. He's got the cool loincloth. He isn't wearing his underwear to battle. One thing that I kind of pointed out while he was in package is that his sword, it's obviously too fat to fit into a slipcase, so it does have this hole in the back where you can just kind of push it in and it'll stay on there, and he's got his sword on the back. Looks a little bit funky because it does almost touch the ground. Does your sword hang low? Does it wobble to and fro? So there is that, but it's super neat. And the sword itself has some amazing detail in it. It's really nicely sculpted. That back metal looks great. It's got a good kind of matte gold finish on the crossguard and handle itself, which is nice. And look at how glinty it is. I freaking love that so much. Really cool. All of them. Same articulation, same modularity as we have on the OG Origin series, so you can mix and match parts if you want. They're Origins figures is what they are. They're Origins figures with a little bit extra, and what you're really paying for in this package, you're paying about $30 per figure, and then about $30 for the packaging. And I think for the most part, that's a pretty good deal. I think they probably could have gone $120 or $130, and that would have been a little bit more reasonable. But if you're a huge fan of each of the four eras, it isn't that bad, especially with that packaging. If you like to keep your figures mock, or if you just like to put up the packaging when you open them, it's perfect for that. So I really love that. And I love each one of these figures for different reasons. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to compare this guy to the Origins release, and we're going to compare this guy to the Origins release. So say goodbye to Mr. New Adventures and Mr. Netflix. They're going to go away for a while. But they're fantastic. They're two figures you cannot get in the Origins line anywhere right now. I do know this guy's coming to Masterverse, and he's already in Masterverse, but we're talking about Origins because it's the best damn toy line out there. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's start these comparisons, and then we will wrap up with our final thoughts. All right, now that we have the Origins He-Man, and I did use the Battlefield Masters extra head sculpt, the kind of windswept head sculpt on this instead of the original Origins, because I wanted it to look a little bit more vintage. But this is the original Buck that came out with the Origins line next to the Filmation version. There are a lot of changes, aside from the head sculpt and the weapon. The first one you're going to notice is the armor. I'm going to pick these guys up real quick. The armor is much more simple on the Filmation version because they were very, we'll say, economical when they were making the original cartoon series, so they didn't put a lot of detail, and you can see a lot more detail in the cross on He-Man's chest in the original Origins figure, where it's a lot more simplistic and smooth. There aren't the rivets here on the shoulders to really give it that extra oomph. But again, that's what the Filmation He-Man looked like. You can also see his bracers aren't as detailed. They're a lot smoother, where you've got the kind of armor bumps on the original Origins, as well as the belt. You don't have the same detail and sculpt on this belt that you do over here. But that's a big deal, because this is an entirely new sculpt. Like, they had to figure out something new for that. And I think the same might go for the loincloth, although it might just be a painting. Yeah, it's just a painting difference if I look a little bit closer to it. Slightly different colors and finishes in that. Also, on the back, we have a difference in that he just has kind of a loop to put his sword through, where he has the full fat scabbard to put his sword through. Not that huge of a difference, but it is a difference. And of course, on the boots, you get a little bit more color on the OG Origins release than you do on the Filmation one, which again matches the cartoon, because the cartoon was a little bit more inexpensively produced than maybe we would have liked it to be. But overall, this is a really cool representation of the Filmation He-Man. Every time I look at him, I start singing, "Hey, yeah, yeah," because it's just so cool. I dig it so much. And I still love the original He-Man as well. This one's probably going to be on display, though, because, look at that face. Look at that page boy face. That's beautiful. That's just wonderful, wonderful. All right, so we've taken a look. We compare these two. Let's compare now the more controversial figure, the 2000X He-Man, to his Origins release. Okay, so on the left here, we've got the original Origins release, and on the right, we have the 2000X He-Man. And there isn't a whole lot of difference between them, to be completely honest. The biggest difference that you'll notice are the weapons. You've got a more matte finish on the Origins original release, and you've got, of course, that beautiful vac metal on the 4-pack release. Some other details that are different. Let me pick these guys up. Take their weapons off of them real quick so we can compare the figures a little bit closer together. Come on, man. Get up there. Okay. If we bring them a little bit closer in, we can see that the only real details that seem to be different are on, and I don't know if you can see this in this camera with this lighting, but the rivets on the 4-pack He-Man here are colored. They're colored in red, where on the original release they're just the brown. The gold seems to be a little bit shinier on the 4-pack release, has a little bit more yellow in it, but there is a little bit more detail in the background of the emblem for the Origins OG release. The silver also seems maybe a bit more lightly colored, a bit more shiny. It doesn't have that kind of glittery look that the original retail release has. Belt details are almost exactly the same. Again, you got that little bit more of a slightly more yellow gold on the 4-pack release. Head sculpts are very, very similar. There might be a little bit of a difference in that hair color. I don't know, though. Backs line up pretty much exactly. You got the little fanny pack on the back of both of them, the rivets on the belt. Everything else seems pretty much exactly the same. The only differences in the figures themselves are the details on the harness and a little bit of a different color finish for that gold on the 4-pack release compared to the retail release of the 2000X He-Man. So there aren't a lot of differences here between the two. So that is a little bit of a downer. The weapons, I think the reason he got all of his accessories compared to the rest of the figures not really getting the rest of the accessories is because he is so close to the original retail release that they had to give it a little bit more of an incentive to get this guy. But overall, it's a cool figure. It is probably the most disappointing in the pack, but it's still really cool. And I don't think that should necessarily color your choice as to whether or not you want to get this pack. It should really be based on how much you've enjoyed the TV series, if you have the extra income that you can throw at this, and if you are kind of a completist, then I would say definitely get this. If you're not a huge fan of all of the series, if the differences between these two isn't enough for you, maybe skip this one. That's okay. There are still some available, but if you're not into it, that's fine. You don't have to be into it. It's $150 for 4 figures. And these figures usually run $15 to $20 a piece, so that's quite a markup when you consider the overall picture of the toy industry right now. But at the same time, I love these figures so much. I love that new Adventures He Man a ton, the Netflix He Man, the Filmation look just looks so cool and cheesy. And while this guy doesn't have all those changes and differences between his original retail release, he does come with these extra freaking cool vac metal weapons with the cool gold and silver. Just, And then finally, you've got the packaging, and the packaging is something you can't really discount in this this deal, because it is a beautiful thing. It has detail, it has depth, it has little jokes. It's a fantastic package, and if you really like beautiful packaging and artwork, I cannot recommend this set enough. Because the packaging on this is really the star of the show. The toys are awesome, and especially the ones that we've never gotten before. But the packaging is just on another level. Anyway, I hope this in-depth review has helped you decide whether or not this 4-pack is for you, and whether or not you want to really throw that money into collecting this particular part of the Origins line. I'm happy with my purchase, but whether or not you will be that's going to be up to you. And I don't want to put that decision in your mouth. So hopefully you've got some more ideas as to what you can do with this and what it's like, and you can move forward making a more informed decision. But I really want you to keep collecting the way you like to collect. Do you like to keep your figures mocked? Do you like to open them for display or play? However you like to do it's the right way to do it. And if anybody else tells you otherwise, tell them that you're going to send Adam and the Battle Cats to figure out the mystery of why they're so lumpy. I don't know what that means. Until next time, I'm John Finn, and I'm out.